The moment you understand the value of your particular narrative, you understand the value of everyone else's. So I'm half Japanese, half Uchinā. My dad's side is Uchinā. My mom's side is Japanese. It's funny because in Hawaii, it's probably one of the few places where everybody's like, oh, Okinawan and Japanese are different. Even though I was brought up to understand that differently, growing up, I was brought up to not really differentiate between my Japanese heritage and my Okinawan heritage, and so being fourth generation, didn't have access to a lot of the materials or whatever. I am a painter and ceramicist by trade, I suppose. And what was more recent, so I started off painting pictures of Okinawan culture during the pandemic. I was doing a body of work about plantation immigration. And then in that research, my dad showed me a picture of my great-great-grandmother. It's a really old photograph, and she just sat there in this white garb and had hajichi. And I was like, what is that? And that was my first like tsunami moment of just like, whoa, like this is so not anything that I expected Japanese to be, right? And so that like totally flipped it on its head. It totally reframed my understanding of craftsmanship and tradition. Nothing that I got passed down to, but it was like an act of trying to. And so all of the pieces are more so about the reaching rather than the grasp of culture. The work is just about acknowledging our past to move forward. It's a kid trying to remember. A lot of us, especially as immigrants, were kind of robbed of a history or were distanced from our history. The fact that when I Googled contemporary Okinawan artists, not even like 10% of what is available for Japanese artists shows up and pops up. And that was shocking to me. I was like, what? And, and it reframed everything that I considered about art, because for so long I had tried to insert myself into the predominant narrative, that my acknowledgement of my own identity let me recognize how much was missing. As Okinawan, as indigenous, it made me realize like, wow, there are so many other people who have the same experience, where they're not involved in the dominant narrative of the world. We always acknowledge the past as behind us rather than this like thing that is the future. It is something that guides us, and so I am telling a story because of people who wrote it before me. I've never knew of anyone Okinawan who is really proud and posting about it ever. Like, I didn't know that. And like, it's weird being that person for other people. And then I just came back from Okinawa, from my first trip to Okinawa. I mean, like, it was crazy because like people always say like, oh, Okinawa is just like Hawaii. And then I went there and I was like, oh, it is just like Hawaii. Like, it was eerily weird. Like, I was like, this is interesting. Like, as far as like the botanicals, the temperature, I went to a pottery village there. That was crazy because we got to see like, we always imagine pottery studios in forests, but never like a tropical forest. That was really fascinating. It was interesting to discover an unknown familiarity, I suppose.
There you go.
Oh, I'm going to UCLA. I will be a MFA candidate in ceramics. Woo! Exciting! Because a lot of my work is cultural, and a lot of it has to do with Hawaii, and a lot of it has to do with Okinawa and indigenous philosophies, it made me feel like people were noticing our stories again. Like, it didn't feel like I got in. It felt like our stories got in, and that was awesome. I always go back to Ninufa, Bushi, Miati, just as a proverb, because even the metaphor of a North Star guiding you and the teaching of it references a past. But it is just a reference to how you let your ancestors guide you. If you know where you've been, you know where you're going, And so a lot of people don't know where their history's been. And I think that leads to a lot of lostness. everyone is on this journey of reclamation, of re-understanding who we are, that everyone's enough, you know? And I think that's really valuable, because the moment you are like, this is it, right? This is what we do, blah, 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 it's limiting. It is limiting. I guess my hope is that we stay true to the identity, our indigenous identity, our Okinawan identity, as not to be presented on a silver platter for other people. The future of art, or Okinawan art, is to be Okinawan. Once you begin to fully appreciate what narrative you're born into, you understand the nuances to everyone's experiences. Once you understand what it means to be Okinawan, once you understand what it means to be indigenous, a young person, all of these facets, you just further grasp how much more there is.